everybody. So in this lecture, we're going to look at the last part of your research essay. And the last part deals with discussing individual involvement. So now that you have talked about in your essay, you should have talked about the problem for several pages. Then you should have looked at some big picture solutions that you are advocating for. So big picture things that can be done to help address that problem. And then the last few pages of your paper are supposed to look at how individuals can get involved to make those big picture solutions happen and to help address the problem that you were looking at. So for this example, we're going to be looking at binge drinking on college campuses or wherever, really. But since our resources are specifically about college campuses, that's what we'll be looking at. So I included this graphic here, which is a good example of individual involvement, specifically on college campuses. This is an advertisement or I guess sort of a flyer that's been posted around Fresno State, which is one of the campuses that I teach at, and it's also where I got my degree, so I've seen these things around. And it was just an easy thing for students to do to sort of protect each other, right? To know the signs of alcohol poisoning, and these were posted all around campus and bathrooms and hallways and whatnot so that people would, glance at these and be aware of those signs so that if a friend or, a roommate or somebody that they know or someone that they don't know was exhibiting these things, then hopefully they would help that person. So it's just one example of a way that you could get involved as an individual to help address this particular issue, right? Is just knowing the signs and then be willing to step up and help somebody in that situation. So that's a good example of the type of thing that we're looking at in this particular part of the essay. So the individual involvement piece is all about what can I do? These are things that individuals can do on their own to support larger scale solutions. And this one is very open-ended. So this can include supporting organizations, raising awareness about a particular issue, joining a cause, changing your own behavior, encouraging others to change their behavior, and the list goes on and on. So when you're planning for this part of your paper, you should be listing all of the different steps individuals could take to help improve the problem that you're discussing in your research paper. So what does it look like to make claims about individual involvement? Sometimes articles will call for individual involvement. So for example, in Why Colleges Haven't Stopped Students from Binge Drinking by Beth McMurdy, the author explains how one university president took action. She says last year, John C. Braveman, president of Bucknell University, canceled its annual house party weekend. And then we have the citation. So you can see that sometimes the articles will help you out with that. And then you could say that, this is a good example of what one individual can do because he was the president and he canceled this event after it had gotten out of hand previously for several years. So just as one person, he could do that. However, that guy, is a president of a university, has lots of power. So you also want to look for articles that are calling for individual involvement that are things that people, normal everyday people could do. Sometimes you can come up with the steps that people can take. So for example, students can help keep each other safe and accountable by sticking together at parties to make sure they don't have too much to drink. For example, a group of friends can make sure one of them stays sober to keep an eye on the others, just like a designated driver would. So this is a simple enough claim, and this is something that students can come up with on their own to write about as well. So your individual involvement pieces don't have to be suggested by your article. You can definitely come up with those claims on your own. Another strategy to come up with individual involvement steps is to look at what's being done elsewhere or what could have been done. For example, students can avoid the dangers of binge drinking by looking out for everyone, not just their friends. For example, in the video Breathe, Nolan, Breathe, if any of the people who saw Nolan passed out had stopped to help him earlier or stopped the hazing, he might have gotten help in time. So you can look at something that didn't go well, right? Like what happened in this video, and you can say if someone would have just stepped in, then that would have been a good solution. And that's something that anyone can do, whether you know the person or not. If you see somebody in any kind of trouble, you could step in to help them out. So these are just a few examples of how to make claims about individual involvement. So all of these things are things that individuals could do to support changes specifically in binge drinking, because these are the articles that we've read about this particular topic. But certainly you can make the same types of claims about whichever topic you're choosing to address. So some things that have been suggested through the articles and videos that we've watched so far on this particular topic. Students can educate themselves about the dangers of binge drinking. They can shift expectations so their college experience isn't all about binge drinking. They can normalize drinking responsibly. They can stop hazing if they see that happening. They can take their friends out of dangerous situations if they see them binge drinking. They can educate themselves about how to cope with stress without using alcohol. Parents can discuss expectations with their students, so there's open communication about alcohol use and problems that can, come from that if it gets out of hand. Owners of bars near colleges can choose not to cater to underage drinking, and individuals in charge of dorms can choose to enforce alcohol-related policies. So these are just a few of the things that were brought up in the different articles and videos that we read about this particular topic. And notice that all of these are things that individuals can do, right? Students can do this, parents can do this, bar owners or managers can do this, and so on. So when you're looking at these types of things, just make sure that if you're thinking, is this individual involvement, ask yourself, if I wanted to do that thing on my own, could I do that? And if the answer is yes, then that's a step that individuals could take. If the answer is no, and it's something that you need like group cooperation for, then it would be better suited to be discussed in the other section of the paper, which deals with those big picture solutions. So some claims and evidence having to do with individual involvement. Remember to make claims about each type of individual involvement that you would like to see happen. So when you're getting ready to write about these things, the first thing to do is to make a claim about each of those things that you would like to see happen. Choose evidence that supports that claim, right? So for example, students can shift their expectations about college so they don't all revolve around binge drinking. And then the evidence that supports that would be traditions and beliefs handed down through generations of college drinkers serve to reinforce students' expectations that alcohol is a necessary component of social success. And then that's from one of our readings. So you can see how this demonstrates and supports that currently lots of college students do have that expectation, right? That you go to college and it's expected that you might experience like some hazing or lots of out of control drinking. And you could, as an individual, just choose not to buy into that, right? That doesn't mean that alcohol is like horrible and bad, but you can say, instead of making it necessary for my social success, I can just have a few drinks and say no if somebody wants me to have too many or whatever, right? So shifting your expectations is something that an individual could do to sort of change this. Another claim, owners of bars near campuses can choose to stop catering to underage drinkers. And evidence to support this, one study found that students have easy access to alcohol at private parties and at bars that don't check IDs. And this is from the McMurdy source. So This would be something where it's not in the hands or the responsibility of the student, but instead the bars near campuses, right, to just do the responsible thing and make sure that they are checking IDs. Another claim, students can get their friends out of unsafe situations if they see that they've had too much to drink. And then you could use evidence from, say, the video about that. In the video, Breathe, Nolan, Breathe, several students saw that Nolan had so much to drink that he passed out, but it took a very long time for anyone to help him. So you can see that for whatever claim you make, there should be evidence from one of the readings, either from class or one of the readings or videos that you find on your own, to support whatever it is you're discussing. So make sure that your claims and your evidence match up. And once you have those claims and your evidence, of course, then it's time to build those paragraphs. So just like any other paragraph that you're building for class, we want to have the claim, a signal phrase, the evidence and MLA citation, and then the most important part, your explanation. So for instance, this claim says that individual bars and restaurants near college campuses should stop catering to students and allowing underage students to drink just to make a profit. Then we have the signal phrase. According to Why Colleges Haven't Stopped Students from Binge Drinking by Beth McMurtry. Then we've got the evidence and MLA citation. Just 7% of colleges try to restrict the number of outlets selling alcohol, and 2% work to reduce cheap drink specials at local bars. And then the citation. Then we have the ever important explanation, right? So make sure that you're putting it all together for your reader. As we can see here, hardly any colleges try to get bars to stop targeting students near campus. Even though students are responsible for themselves, it's still a good idea for other community members, like the owners at bars and restaurants, to do the right thing. This can include not looking the other way when underage kids come in looking for drinks. Bars in college towns should each take responsibility for making sure students don't come there to drink when they're underage. It's not going to stop the problem of binge drinking on college campuses altogether, but it's a step responsible businesses should take. So you can see here that in this paragraph, we're explaining how, individual bar or restaurant owners shouldn't target underage students just to make a profit. We have that evidence to support our claim, and then we have the explanation where we're putting it all together for our readers. So make sure that you're using that same, paragraph building method here for all of your paragraphs in your essay. So a quick recap. First, of course, we want to read and annotate the articles and videos that we are reading, and then look for steps that individuals can take to help support those big picture solutions. Next, work on making claims about what individuals can do to help. Then find evidence that supports each of those claims. Build your paragraphs using the quote sandwich method, and then you've got your paragraphs for your individual involvement section. Remember that this section should be about 1/3 of your overall research essay. So depending on the page length of your essay, that might work out to about 3 pages. If you're not sure how long the essay is for your particular class, you can always look at the essay packet, and the essay prompt will have specifications about how long the essay needs to be for your class. You could also definitely ask a group member, a tutor, or myself.